talk about all the different things that I've gone through these past 3 years. One of the biggest is how much I go through socks. And I'll explain that in a minute. I honestly cannot believe that I'm in my 4th year of my amputation after all of the agonizing that I did, which is necessary. And I heard everybody say, I wish I would have done it sooner. I wish I would have done it sooner. And I remember thinking, I will never say that, ever, because you walk through this journey the way that you need to walk through this journey. I don't think I would have been ready earlier. However, I do wish I would have done it sooner. If we haven't met yet, my name is Carrie, and I'm so glad that you are here. If you are walking through elective amputation, I cannot recommend my book enough to people walking through this journey. It has helped hundreds of people so far, and I know that you'll benefit from it if you get it. It's on Amazon. And that's not just a shameless plug for me to make money. I make very little money on the sale of this book. It's called the Amputee Q&A Guide. It's almost 100 questions of everything I didn't know, everything I asked, everything other people asked of me, so that you have those. And it's also chock full of all kinds of resources, laws, foundations who will help you if you don't have insurance or the money in order to get your prosthesis. It is full of just about everything you need to go through this process. However, everybody is different, but it is a great resource to get you started. Okay, so basically if you're new here, something that you might need making this decision is all of the things that I've been through and my hardships and my wins in order to be where I am today. So I'm gonna do a quick little recap for you, and then at the end, I'm gonna tell you some of my biggest pitfalls and some of my biggest victories, and I'll tell you about the socks. Okay, the first year of my amputation was all about learning how this new life works. My limb shrunk so fast that I had to go to prosthesis appointments just about every month because I didn't wear a shrinker. I went to Dr. Ertl, and he didn't want me to wear a shrinker to atrophy my leg and my muscles. He wanted my muscles to be working muscles. However, that didn't really happen, and my socket was so tight that it actually acted as a shrinker. So during the 6 weeks, I should have worn a shrinker when I was healing. I didn't. That happened after I got my prosthetic leg, so I had to go back very often in order to have my leg shrunk back down. So basically that entire first year was just learning how to walk, learning how to run, learning this new life, going to prosthesis appointments, making sure my pain was under control, because these socks, whenever you bottom out, which is when you lose volume, let me back up. Your socket is like a size 9 shoe. You wear a size 9 shoe in the morning. Whenever it's in the afternoon, towards evening, you wear a size 8 shoe now. And you cannot fill that shoe up. You have to layer on socks. That's the same as this. I have to put on a certain amount of socks throughout the day in order to continue to hold me up on the sides. I do not walk on the end of my limb, and if I do, it is very sore. So I had to learn the sock game during that first year of amputation, which it's kind of a mess. It's a big deal. It's something that you have to learn. It's something that you have to go through. So if you're having pain on the end of your limb, it might be because you're bottoming out or that you have an ill fit. I cannot stress this enough, that if you don't have a prosthesis that works for you, go get a different prosthetist. That is literally their job to make sure that you are comfortable. Okay, year 2, the second year that I was doing this, I was really looking forward to that second year, because everybody says as soon as you hit that 2-year mark, you're back to normal, you're moving and grooving. During that second year of amputation, I was really searching for that point, that arrived point. I was focusing on getting comfortable in public because people stare, they just do. I say this in my book that it's like having a huge hat or a huge feather on your hat. They're gonna look, they're gonna stare, they're gonna see what color it is, why it's so big, why you would have such a thing on your hat, and does it match your outfit? All of that takes more than a glance. They can't just do that and figure all that out. They're gonna stare, they're gonna match it to your outfit, they're gonna think about it for a minute, and then they're gonna look again. It's the same as your leg. Don't take it personal when people stare. That's something that I had to get over in year 2, especially kids. don't ever fault kids for being curious. And then I finally reached that 2-year mark, that pivotal, I've arrived, I'm 2 years post amputation, my bones are healed, I've figured all this out, and then I go into year 3. And during year 3, I am really focusing on work. A lot of work. I felt like I was completely invincible. When I push myself to the extreme. And I did that, and I ended up hurting my health. Because I was feeling so good, I completely neglected me as a person. I worked myself absolutely to the bone. And one of the things that I did was I developed a callus on the end of my limb that was extremely sore from those little discs. I'll put it here on the screen. I used to put those on the end of my limb. This is one of my pitfalls. I would put that on the end of my limb, and it would make a very hard callus. And that was extremely sore to the touch. So then I doubled it up, making an even deeper callus. I didn't realize what I was doing at the time, but then whenever I started making a deeper callus, I realized that the suction from my socket was sucking the skin through that little hole, and it was actually perpetuating the problem. So finally, that callus is so dry, it's so swollen, it's so painful, and it gets a slit in it. And that's when I know, okay, I have to stop. Because if there is any sore spot on the end of your limb or inside your liner at all, you have to make sure that you baby it. Please be so careful if you get any sort of spot or sore on your limb that goes inside your liner, because this is a hot, damp environment, and that's where bacteria grow. So if you have something like that on your limb, take the time necessary. Mine was 2 weeks, and I know that's asking a lot for people who have to work, but I took 2 weeks without my limb, living at home. My husband is an over-the-road truck driver. I have kids that I have to get to school. I have kids that I have to get to the grocery store. I live upstairs in an apartment. I had to scoop down my butt in order to get to the car to make all of these things happen. It was rough. So trust me when I say I understand the struggle, but I also understand how important it is not to get an infection, because as soon as you get an infection in your skin, it has the potential to go to your bone, which causes a higher amputation and possibly above the knee, depending on how aggressive that infection is and how long your residual limb is. So the stickers was one of my pitfalls. But then my friend gave me the little slips that go on your residual limb. I'll put it here. But basically what it was a barrier between my skin and my liner, and that's all the end of my limb needed. Now, since I've been using those regularly, I don't have a callus at all. It's smooth, baby, soft skin, and it doesn't hurt. Whenever I walk around without it, I start to get a rough spot, and then I'll put them on again. The downfall of these sleeves is that it does not prevent sweating. So in year 1, I noticed that I was profusely sweating in the summer. So I was like, well, I hope this goes away soon. Year 2, I didn't have any sweating at all because I was only wearing my liner and my skin. Your skin is amazing. It acclimates to its environment. Year 3, this past summer, I noticed that I was sweating again profusely because I had retrained my leg to sweat, putting that sleeve barrier on there. So that is another thing that you kind of have to deal with that I wasn't expecting. These are the things that I put in my book. So now I wear it 50% of the time. I will wear it half the time whenever I'm starting to get sore or callous on the end of my leg, maybe a week or so, and then I'll take it off for a couple of days and see how long I can go without it. That seems to be a good balance because I'm not sweating a whole lot, but I'm also not sore in my socket. So now that I brought you all the way through my 3rd year, let's talk about some of the pitfalls and the struggles that I've had and my victories as well. The socks. Oh my gosh, the socks. I go through so many socks because my foot shell is not a great foot shell. And if you can see right here, whenever I bend my toes, those prongs stick out, and so they make holes in my socks. I go through so many socks, but I also wear socks all the time because if I don't, I stub because this is rubber. It doesn't just slide like skin does on the floor. It kind of sticks as you walk. And I try to adjust the Kevlar sock that goes on top of my steel foot but it just keeps making holes. So I don't know if I need a more durable shell or what's going on there, but I've been dealing with that for probably 2 years now. One of my other struggles related to the amputation is I kind of noticed it in the summer of year 2, is that I would get overheated so easily when I didn't used to before. I've always been the one that could stay out in over 100-degree weather, gardening, playing baseball, whatever, didn't matter. But now I can hardly handle the heat because your limbs are what release heat from your body. And if my limb is covered in this sleeve all day and it can't release my body's heat, I can't regulate my temperature as well. And it's actually the same with being cold. For whatever reason, my amputated limb, my residual limb, is freezing whenever it gets cold. It doesn't get cold, it gets purple and dead looking. I have to wrap it up in a heating pad during the winter to make sure that it stays warm, which is kind of odd, and it's one of those things that I didn't expect, but it happens. These are the things that I put in my book. Let's talk about some of my major victories. One of my major victories is that I am completely comfortable now. I don't have the pain of that nasty broken foot. I can walk pretty much every day completely pain-free. Do I have to adjust every now and then with socks or with the sleeve or something like that? Absolutely, yes. But you have to adjust your shoes in life too if you get rocks in them or whatever. You're not completely comfortable 100% of the time. You might get a blister on your foot. It's the same principle. I, for the most part, do not think about my leg most of the day. However, there are times that I do think about it. For example, sitting on a seat where your butt goes lower than your knees, say my knees are up here, my butt sinks below that, that's very hard for me to get out of that chair because my leg doesn't bend past a 90 degree and it hardly doesn't bend at a 90-degree angle. So that does hurt. It impairs the way that I sit and I stand up. But I'm not in pain. And I will take that every day of the week. I'm not in pain. And I live a beautiful life now on all terrain. I can walk in the sand. I can go swimming. I can walk in grass, off curbs, in mulch, in gravel. I don't have to worry about it anymore. I never thought that I would be able to say that again, and I'm so excited that I can. So for year 4, I can't believe I'm in year 4 of my amputation. That is wild. I have some big goals set for myself, not the kind that is gonna break my health again, but the kind that is going to propel us into this reason that I amputated in the first place, which is, if you've been around at all, you'll know that it is to travel the world. That has been my reason for amputating and my reason for existence since the beginning. I am hustling hard on social media in order to make the income necessary to not only bring my husband home out of the truck and join our family again, but then also to take that money that I make online in order to go see the world. And this is a great life that amputation has provided me. I'm gonna be completely honest there because not only have I turned it into something that will help me go see the world, but I get to help people along the way, which is amazing. I love that aspect, that I get to double dip in both of those worlds because it's free for you, but it pays me to go live the life that I want, all because of my accident. And this is another thing that I preach all the time, is that there is a positive side to everything. Just go find it. There is always a positive way to look at life. Gratitude will take you further than anything. And because of social media, I have conquered public spaces. This past summer, I would not take my leg off to get in the pool. But this summer, absolutely, I'm gonna take off my leg in public to adjust it, to go to a pool. Whatever I need to do, I'm gonna do it because that's why I did this, was to get off the sideline. So I'm not going to let other people's nasty looks or comments sit me back on the sideline. And to be honest, that doesn't happen very often. You might have the really rude person, but that rude person is rude to everybody, not just you. So just know it's not you, it's them. And the last thing that I want to leave you with is that your life is not going to go back to normal. Normal is gone. Your meat foot is gone. You have a new normal now. And that's okay, because you can make that new normal whatever you want it to be. And if it's not right, change it. Have somebody help you change it. Achieve your goals. You only have one life. Please make it a good one. Promise me you'll make it a good one. I hope that that gives you a good look inside life of an elective amputee from years 1, 2, and 3. And I will be back soon with more updates about the travel realm. You guys have a wonderful day.